Welcome to The Shed Wireless, a podcast for shedders, produced by the Australian Men's Shed Association and hosted by John Paul Young.
Yeah, there's something for you at the Men's Shed.
Hello and welcome to the Shed Wireless podcast, made in Australia and distributed all over the world for the love of shedding. This week is Men's Shed Week, when we celebrate the fundamentals of men's sheds: connection, community and camaraderie, and the contributions that men's sheds make to the local communities. What a ripper of an episode we have today. In Shedder in the Spotlight, we're talking to three shedders about how they first found out about sheds. In On the Pulse, Stuart talks about matters below the belt. And as we're coming into spring, Sabrina Hahn talks to Marty about keeping your lawns tip-top in On the Tools. Okay, let's get into it.
You're listening to The Shed Wireless with my good friend, John Paul Young. It's a podcast for shedders across Australia and around the world. Get ready to shed.
Yeah, there's something for you at the Men's Shed.
Well, it's Men's Shed Week, and this year's theme is Send Him Down to the Shed. Most men are introduced to a shed by someone else. It may be their wife or daughter who suggests that they go and look at a shed, or a son, niece or nephew, or even their neighbour. Let's chat to Chris and Yolette Huon from Melton in Victoria to find out who sent Chris down to the shed. Tell me about your times treading the boards, Chris.
Yeah, well, we're now retired, but we worked in a lot of theatre restaurants. I used to make Yolette disappear, as it happened. We did a lot of stage illusions, and
There's plenty of shedders out there that would love that talent.
Well, look, I've had many ask me if I might offer my services to them, but unfortunately, Yolette's demonstrated the ability to come back. So
yes, and give you a good whack over the head for your thoughts.
Regularly. I must be kept in line. Yeah.
Just tell me quickly, you've been involved in theatre restaurants in the past.
Yeah, we had a few of them. Our last one was at Cryle Castle in Ballarat.
Yes, I know of Cryle Castle in Ballarat.
Yeah,
I've driven past it a few times.
Yeah, so's many other people. That's why we don't work there anymore. But,
Very good.
I found myself resident comedian and magician at a place called the Lido in Hawthorne. And we had a place called Macy's, and used to be called Hancock's, one of the first theatre restaurants in Melbourne. But yeah, so we sort of got around a bit. We managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory many times. So. But
well, that's showbiz.
Yeah, we've had a great life though, and have enjoyed everything about it. But the Men's Shed has been a great saviour for me in the last 3 and a bit years.
Yeah. Now, quickly, if you can just explain to me, I think it was was it your daughter who was?
Yes, Nikita, our oldest daughter.
Yeah.
She harassed me a little bit and said, "Dad, you need to go and find something to do." Mm-hmm. And a couple of failed attempts at the Melton Men's Shed when I found they were closed. And then I chanced upon them being open and inquired. And before I knew it, I'd signed up and never looked back. It's been a wonderful experience.
So what was your... before you joined the shed, but what was your day like? You were just sitting around basically doing nothing, or
a bit like that. But look, I can do a lot of work around the house and all, but you reach a point where you can only paint it so many times.
And come and see me.
Yeah, and indeed, it was also Yolette's suggestion that I might be better off out of the house for a while.
It's such a common thread in that.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. And we actually yesterday celebrated the 15th birthday of the Melton Men's Shed.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, we had a great crowd there, and it was a wonderful experience. And of course, who did they get to MC the event?
You.
I guess you're right. Yeah. I get the microphone every time there's something like that to happen. So,
Well,
um, what we've found though is that there are divisions in men's sheds. There are those who make birdhouses and various other wooden items. If it
yeah.
was left to my group, the birds would be homeless because we don't make anything. What we do is we sit around and chat. Um, on a Tuesday and a Friday, we meet my group, and we're the social group, if you will. We have a trivia. We conduct a trivia each Tuesday. And the first Thursday every month, I find myself taking one of the council buses and a few of the boys, and we'll go visit the Shrine of Remembrance or the Yu Yangs or wherever I can find somewhere that it's a nice place for us all to visit. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so I'm have the good fortune of being asked to be a team leader, which means I have a few more responsibilities at the shed. But what a great bunch of blokes! I mean, even to the point where we had quite a few of them over last New Year's Eve to celebrate New Year's Eve. So we extend the shed into a social activity privately, if you will.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. It's just great to hear stories like that. And as you were alluding before, when you get involved with people in the shed, the stories are fantastic.
Such an eclectic bunch of people.
Yeah.
From pilots to school teachers to truck drivers to silly old washed up comedians, we're all there.
What's in the future? What's going on?
Well, just keep plodding along. I think I just ticked over 69 years of age, and I'm feeling pretty happy about that. Because any time that you wake up out of bed, it's a good day.
That's right. As Paul Hogan used to say, if I feel my arms and my legs, I figure I'm in front.
Exactly right. And look, we've got the pleasure of enjoying 9 grandchildren from our 4 kids who have all successfully produced them for us. And the last one, he's just turned 14 months, and that's a delight. You know, we've got them from 16 down to 14 months, so that's pretty much occupies a lot of Yolette's time, of course. But the future holds much for anybody who wants to move forward. I mean, I think it's having the thought of keeping the boy inside you, or the girl, if you will. You've got to have you've got to be excited about each day that comes across. You know,
Yeah. Oh, you're a great example, Chris. You're a great example of what.
you have impeccable judgment, John.
Thank you very much. So, if listeners at home know a man who doesn't have the same number of social connections that he used to have, what are you going to tell him to do?
Get out and about, go and meet people, join the men's shed. Um, it's been wonderful. I just had Her Majesty sitting next to me want to say something, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
okay. Of course, Yolette. Yes.
Sorry, John. I did want to inject that from my perspective as his wife, particularly, since we've stopped entertaining, it was really important for Chris to get that mateship back. Um, you would probably know when you're in the entertainment industry, you're the most popular person in the world, and people move on, and it's very easy to lose touch. And
Yeah.
with my daughter's suggestion, having Chris involved in the men's shed, I think his perspective, and I do want to say to listeners that it is not about building things. You don't have to be mechanically good with your hands, but it is about mateship. And to see Chris have these mates that he'd lost. He'd lost friends, for circumstances and
Well,
what
well,
have
you,
you.
you know, John, in any show, it doesn't last forever, and so you build these wonderful relationships, but then they must end at some point. So
But I think it's great for men's health, in not
Yeah.
not just for Chris, but for all the gentlemen that I have had the privilege of meeting, it's amazing. You know, they have men's health. You know, people come out, they talk about diabetes. You know, your health,
prostate, all those sorts of things.
but I think more importantly, John, I get peace 2 days a week.
Oh, isn't it lovely? You know, I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but men's sheds were actually started by a woman.
Did it really?
Is that right?
Yes, it did. It was a lady in South Australia who used to have meetings at the local club for the women, and she said the car park was full of men sitting there reading the paper.
Oh, of course.
And it dawned on her one day, and there was a shed out the back that was full of rubbish and stuff. So she knocked on one of the cars and said, "Listen, we need some help out the back here. Do you think you could da da da?" And she did it, and all of a sudden, all these blokes turned up, started, and that morphed into the men's shed eventually. So it's
and now it's gone international, and
that's
it's
right.
remarkable how it's proliferated. And I met yesterday at our birthday a man called Mark Tyrrell, who's the regional coordinator of the Victorian men's sheds. He's only just recently been appointed, a lovely man from Ireland, and going back to visit family in a week or so. But he was telling me in Ireland they have something like 300 men's sheds.
Yes.
Isn't that remarkable that it should...
It is, and our Chief Executive Officer, David Helmers, has been over there to Ireland and visited quite a few of those sheds.
Right. Well, there's a couple of pubs in Ireland too, as well as men's sheds.
Well, it's been great talking to you, to you, Chris, and Yolette, and thank you so much.
It was wonderful chatting with you. All the best.
Cheers, bye.
Well, aren't they a hoot? On the Pulse, on the Shed Wireless. Today in On the Pulse, Stuart is talking about some matters that hit below the belt. Over to you, Stuart.
Thanks, JPY, and g'day everyone. I'm Stuart Torrance, Shed Development Coordinator, Wellbeing and Health, and you're listening to On the Pulse, where we discuss anything and everything to do with health and wellbeing. As a gentleman and a gentleman, I was always surprised at my dad's love of boxing. He loved to watch two boxers evenly matched, punch out through to victory, but heaven help any boxer that gave a hit below the belt. My dad would give the TV a piece of his mind. Well, today we have some cancers hitting below the belt, and to discuss this foul, dirty, no good, rotten, give them the once over, our special guest today is Associate Professor Samantha Oakes, CEO of ANZUP, which is an acronym for the Australian New Zealand Urogenital and Prostate Cancer Trials Group. Now, there's a mouthful. Welcome, Professor Oakes.
Oh, thanks, Stu. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat about the fight against below-the-belt cancers. And I can tell you, ANZUP Cancer Trials Group is in the ring, and we're committed to giving the knockout punch.
Sensational. So when we're talking about cancers below the belt, the one that most men would be familiar with is prostate cancer. We talk about it all the time. Take us through the other dirty fighters.
Sure, and you're so right, Stu. Prostate cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among Australians. In fact, 1 in 7 Australian men will be diagnosed with a prostate cancer by age 68. That's over 25,000 people in Australia every single year. But of course, it's not all about prostate cancer, as you say. ANZUP Cancer Trials Group's mission is to improve the lives of all people affected by bladder, kidney, testicular, penile, and of course prostate cancers that we commonly group and call below-the-belt cancers through practice-changing, multidisciplinary, collaborative clinical trials. And while prostate cancer is the most common, bladder cancer affects over 3,000 Australians every year, kidney cancer, 4,500 people, testicular 1,000, and nearly 200 people are affected by penile cancers every single year. That's nearly 35,000 people, or 111 people per day, that are affected by a below-the-belt cancer in Australia, and over 5,500 people in New Zealand. So we're talking about big numbers here.
We need to do some research and get these things knocked over.
We absolutely do.
Now we know the enemy, Samantha, and if I can call you Samantha, I suppose the first question that comes to my mind is, how do we know when we have a problem? What are blokes looking out for? Is it blood in the urine? Are we feeling unwell? Have we got pain? What would indicate to us that something's not right and we should go and see a doctor about it?
It's such a great question, Stu, because of course, as we get older, we get all sorts of niggles in the body. And I can tell you, after my ski weekend on the weekend, I'm still struggling to get out of the chair, and my knees are hurting and my back's hurting. Um, but of course, it's important to know the signs and look, listen, feel your body for any changes that seem unusual. For example, pain in the abdomen or back, difficulty, changes in frequency, pain, or burning when urinating, loss of appetite or unexplained weight loss, blood in the urine, of course, and
Mhm.
fatigue can be some of the symptoms of a below the belt cancer. But what I really want to say is it's important to note that just because you have one or more of these symptoms, it doesn't mean that you have a cancer, as they could be caused by many conditions. So don't panic. But most importantly, stay aware. If you notice anything unusual, do not hesitate to talk about it and see your doctor, because the earlier a below the belt cancer, and really and honestly, any cancer for that matter, is
Mm.
diagnosed, the better the chances of treatment and the better the chances of a really great outcome.
Mm. Okay, so obviously, besides prostate cancer and penile cancer, these cancers affect everyone within the population. So, let's say we're in the ring. We're about to go head to head with this cancer. Who's in our corner? Who's there to help us in the fight?
100%. Look, your GP, your health practitioner, your oncologist if needed, your surgeon if needed, is absolutely there to wipe the sweat off in the corner and help
Mm.
anyone who is unfortunate to have to tackle a fight against a below the belt cancer. The good news, and the really great news, is that we've made incredible discoveries that mean Australians diagnosed with a below the belt cancer have some of the best cancer outcomes in the world. I cannot stress enough, though, that if you're worried about anything, any changes to your body, do not hesitate to go and chat to your doctor in the corner.
Mm.
Talk to them about what you're worried about, and if you're unsatisfied with the response, and if you still have concerns, go to see your other coach in the corner, and make sure that you can resolve those concerns, because the earlier the cancer is diagnosed and treated, the better the outcomes.
And obviously, with peace of mind, it actually helps the journey, because once you have knowledge, you know what you're doing, and you can relax a bit. It's general knowledge that if you find and identify most cancers early these days, you might go a few rounds, a few bouts, and you might get knocked around a little bit. But on the whole, if you get it early enough, you've got a great chance of winning the last round and coming out with the victory belt. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. And this is so true. And it's testament to the extraordinary and practice changing advances in treatments for cancer that have come from results in clinical trials, such as the ones that Up Cancer Trials Group run. In fact, as an example, most people who are diagnosed with a prostate cancer are more likely to die with the disease than from it. 95% of people who were diagnosed with a prostate cancer will live at least 5 years. And there's really good news for testicular cancer as well. We do have a bit of work, however, to do for kidney, bladder, penile, and any below the belt cancer that's spread to the rest of the body, becomes what we call metastatic. And we are constantly looking for new trials to look for new revolutionary treatments that improve outcomes, and most importantly, because these things affect the sort of really nether regions of the body,
Mm.
improve quality of life, of course, as well.
Okay, so talking about the latest research and things, I'd like to know what's going on about these some of these fight stats to encourage us going forward.
Well, this is the fun bit for me, because I get to talk about some of the incredible research that Up Cancer Trials Group do, and talk about the fighters that we have on our team.
Mhm.
In fact, we have a trial that is showing really amazing, promising results so far. And this trial is investigating how a new and really revolutionary type of therapy, a therapy called lutetium PSMA. And that sounds like a really big word, but basically what it is a type of radiotherapy that is attached to a homing pigeon that basically finds any prostate cancer cell throughout the body, even when it's metastatic, so spread throughout the body. And when it goes and finds that prostate cancer cell, it can deliver that radiation directly to the prostate cancer cell anywhere in the body. Amazingly, the same drug can help doctors visualize where that cancer is and visualize that it's disappearing after the treatment. And in fact, in ANZUP's ENZA-P trial, we are testing how this new drug works in combination with hormonal therapy for advanced and metastatic prostate cancer. And just last month, interim results from this trial showed that the combination of the two treatments almost doubled the time for the cancer to get worse in metastatic prostate cancer patients. So we're really excited about that result. We have many other trials, and just one other example, which I'm really excited to talk about, is another trial called BCG mitomycin, where we can use chemotherapy combined with a type of immunotherapy that boosts the body's own ability to fight the cancer. And we inject these two therapies into the bladder when the cancer's been removed. So a little bit of cancer's been removed, and we inject these two treatments, and we've got really promising already early results out of this trial to demonstrate that these two therapies work. So it just demonstrates the types of things that we're going to be doing, we're doing right now and we're doing in the future.
Fantastic, Samantha. I just visualized everybody crossing their legs when you mentioned sticking the bladder with a needle. None of this... Samantha, I just want to take you on a different angle. None of this research is done in a vacuum, and you've had, I believe, some help from one of the men's sheds to raise some funds. So I'd like to let you give them a bit of a hooray and a thank you. But I'd also like you to talk about the Join Us program for medical research, because not only is the Australian Men's Shed Association promoting this great initiative, but I believe you guys are on board as well. Can you tell us about that?
And thanks, Stu, for the opportunity. So, yeah, thank you very much. And I will make a shout out to the Breakfast Point Men's Shed because they've been long-term supporters of ANZUP Cancer Trials Group. And of course, one of the ways they help us is to donate to ANZUP Cancer Trials Group's trials. That's one of the ways you can help by donating. But of course, we work in partnership as a collaborative clinical trials group with many organisations. And we have a very, very strong partnership with the George Institute of Global Health, who run the Join Us program. And so not only can you donate to research to help us fund the next clinical trial for below the belt cancer, but if you're interested in participating in research, you can jump on the Join Us website at joinus.org.au and register your interest to participate. Join Us will ask for some basic health information from you, and if you decide you want to participate in any of the active studies that are going on, Join Us will connect you to the researcher. So we're really excited to partner with the George and interact with Join Us, Join Us program, because the more participants or the more people who are interested in research, the more we can learn about how to treat these below the belt cancers better.
There are two fantastic initiatives, and again, a shout out to the Breakfast Point guys for raising the funds and getting involved. We really do appreciate your input. Is there anything we can do personally to avoid the fight of our lives? What can we do to put us on the front foot, if you can put it that way?
Absolutely. So there are both genetic factors involved in developing cancer, but also some lifestyle factors that are well known risk factors for developing cancer. Now, doesn't necessarily mean that because you particularly do something that you're going to get cancer, but there are things that you can do to lower your risk. For example, smoking's the big one, right? So you don't want to smoke. That's the first thing. You want to limit your alcohol consumption, and you want to make sure that you're eating a healthy diet and making sure that you're exercising well and you're avoiding, excessive sun exposure. So there are certain things that we can do that'll lower the risk, but ultimately everything in moderation and live a healthy and happy life.
I'm glad you didn't say stop drinking. We all appreciate that one, but appreciate you, Samantha, for being our team and being in our corner and coming on the Pulse today to talk to us.
I really appreciate being on the show, and thanks, Stuart. I'm so thankful to be able to come on and tell your listeners a bit more about how we're in the ring to fight against the below the belt cancers, and hopefully really provide some of the information about how you can join the fight against below the belt cancer as well.
JPY, I've gone around the ring. I've come out fighting on this one. I don't think I have any more boxing puns or analogies left in me, mate. So it's back to you in the studio. Thank you.
Well, that was quite a knockout on the pulse. Thanks, Stuart. Now, let's hear from another shedder. This time, Don Whiteman from the Bankstown Shed in Sydney. Welcome, Don. So how did you find out about the men's shed, Don?
Look, I've known about them for a long, long time. You drive past them while you're out and about, and you see them and you go, oh, looks interesting. Never paid too much attention till and then as I was transitioning myself into retirement, I've always worked with wood all my life. Mm. And as I was transitioning over to retirement, I decided that I'd refurbish my workshop at home. I have a full joinery shop at home. Right. So I put it all together, and I put a new table saw in and built myself a new router table, and it was all going well. And I was building a few things there, and then once I'd pretty much gone down to just 1 day a week work, I was finding that like I'm building stuff at home myself, and you'd get the occasional visitor and stuff like that, but your wife would come out and say, what do you want for dinner, or what do you want for lunch? And it's like, there's, I was used to going to work where there was like a whole heap of people around to talk to, and chew the fat or have to answer phones all day and talk to people. So
were you a chippy? Was that your real work?
No, I'm a telescope technician.
A what?
A telescope technician.
A telescope technician?
Yeah.
Well, you got to be the first bloke I've ever met that's a telescope technician.
Probably only going to be the only one you ever get to talk to. It's a very, very rare sort of breed of people.
I reckon.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Look, I did astronomy as a kid. I used to lay in the backyard as a 10-year-old looking at the sky at night. We used to camp out in the backyard back then. And you just got involved with it. And then as I grew, I got into telescopes. And then I got into building my own telescopes. I had tools to do it and the know-how. So I was building my own and building them for other people. And then I was invited to go and do some work for people, which I did. And that just followed on from there. I went over to the US and did some study and things like that, and became a telescope technician. So over the 30-odd years that I did it, I worked by doing, just repairing, servicing, designing telescopes, and then tracking systems later on and things like that for different people. So, but I thought, I'm sitting here by myself, and it'd be nice just to have a go with some of the people. My neighbour come around every now and then, but Mrs. said, you should go to a men's shed. So I looked up where my local was, and there it was, and I drove past it, and I decided I'd drop in and see what it was like. And I met a guy at the front door. Come on in, mate, and have a walk around. I'll show you what it's like and show you what's here. And we go for a walk and out to the gardens and watching a few blokes out there planting, veggies and things like that. And have a good walk around and look. And he said, yeah. Another guy came over and asked me what I was doing, and I explained to him about retiring. So he said, well, we meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays from 7:30 to 2:30. So those hours suit me pretty well. He said, well, if you want to come back, you're welcome to come back. Went in for a couple of probably 2 months. I went in and decided, this is pretty cool. So they asked me, would you like to join? And I said, I would. That was 2.5 years ago.
So which shed is it, Don?
I'm in the Bankstown men's shed, which is in Birrong.
Yes.
Oh, you'd know that. You're an old Liverpool boy, so you know.
Well, that's right. Yeah, Liverpool and Fairfield.
Yeah, you'd know that area.
Exactly. Now, you've just had a knee replacement, I understand.
Yeah, the other one's coming up in probably early November, I think.
Right. So you've been chatting to men in rehab about
You see guys our age that come into a rehab, and they're sitting there and they're doing a bit, and yeah, you're retired. Oh yeah, what do you do? Oh, take your wife shopping and I do this and that. You should get out and do a little bit more. Like you go nuts sitting around talking to your missus all day.
Mm.
You need to talk to some other blokes, because you used to work with other blokes. Yeah, worked in drove trucks, or another bloke one guy was a chip. He didn't want to go back into the trade, and I said to him, you should. It's not the same. It's completely different. There's no sweat, there's no pressure. You don't have to do that sort of thing. There's
No.
no one.
But I mean, I think the thing about the shed, Don, is that the thing that is the same is the banter.
Well, it
And
is.
and the chat that you used to do when you're in a full-time job, and the camaraderie.
In our shed, for example, it's really diverse. We've got people from everywhere. Some with disabilities, some a lot of able bodies. There's ex tradies. The guy used to build. One of the guys that works behind me used to build coffins.
Wow.
So his joinery is quite nice. But
I might come down there and build my own.
do a Ray Martin. Another guy there was a truck driver, and another guy never worked in office work all his life, and we've got a shed out the back where we're building toys currently for the Samaritan Purse. So yesterday there was 4 guys out the back, and they'd run the paint shop. So guys are inside building helicopters and trucks and boats and planes and so there's 20 of each, and they go out the back, and a couple of guys sit there and paint them, and that's their job. They paint. They love to do that. They don't come and interfere anywhere else. They don't try to use any tools, or because they don't know how to, and a bit scared maybe of them. And there's about 4 guys out working the gardens, because we've got 14 different garden beds. So you're always going home with vegetables or something,
Yeah.
And and there's guys that'll go in and work on a metalworks thing, and there are a few guys that are doing wood. There's about 8 or 9 guys doing woodworking. So there's a bloke that comes in, sits and does the jigsaw puzzle, does a crossword puzzle, and curses and drinks coffee.
Yes.
It's just what blokes do, It's an outlet for guys to get together, tell one another to get stuffed if they need to, and sit around at 10 o'clock when the bell rings, have a peep. I take a cake every day because they're all cake eaters. They sit around and have a cup of coffee and a cake, and we'll have someone come in and give us. We had an Australian bush poet came in about 2 months ago, and he recited poetry for an hour. It was just amazing. Stuff that he did. We have during school holidays, we have school groups that come in, organised by local community centres. They come over, and so we'll pre-build something. Or I've just done. We do groups of 20, so I've just built 20 little. They'd be like a toolbox, or they'll carry a 6-pack if they could. And we pre-build them, cut everything, drill all the holes for nails and everything. Kids come in, glue screws, sand them off, paint them, do what they want with them.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Go home with a prezi, and they have a sausage sandwich or something like that,
Yeah.
So, and in Banky, you can understand how hard it is to do sausage sandwiches. So, it's a great environment, really is.
Oh, it's such a success story, Don, coming from you like that. It seems like shed life has been very, very good for you. And, if our listeners know a bloke who's sitting at home bored and lonely, what would you tell them to do?
Get off your butt, mate. Go down and find yourself a shed. You're going to fall in love with it. It's just so good. When you really notice it, when I was in hospital just recently, there's 4 guys from my shed called me to see, are you doing okay, mate? Are you all right? And so this is we've got guys go off crook. If he's not in 1 week, he hasn't come in for 3 days, someone will be ringing his missus to see if he's all right. And that's what it's about. It's blokes looking out for other blokes. So.
That really is. That's great. That's great to hear. Don, thank you very much. That's great. It was a very, very uplifting little interview for sure.
Mate, pleasure.
Good on you, Don. Thank you.
Take care.
On the tools. On the Shed Wireless.
And as we're coming into spring, Sabrina Hahn talks to Marty about keeping your lawns tip-top in On the Tools. And I'll tell you what, I need all the help I can get.
Well, g'day, guys. Today we're talking to a special. Spring has sprung. It's in the air. I can smell it. I'm loving it. It is my favourite time of the year. And today we're going to be talking gardening and especially lawns with Miss September of the Shedders calendar this year, which would be adorning every wall of every shed in Australia, I'd say, this year. So we can't wait to flick the page from August to September because you will see a picture of the wonderful, stunning, fabulous, and knowledgeable Sabrina Hahn. Hi, Sabrina.
Well, that's a pretty mighty fine
You
introduction,
like
Marty.
that? There you go.
I've never been called Miss September before, so I'm very
Wow.
excited.
Well, look at that. You're even showing a bit of leg in that photo too. So you're relaxing in the sun there under your umbrella. It's just fantastic. No,
Yeah,
that's
I'm good at relaxing in the sun.
no. Well, anyone that knows me, we're talking lawns today, but anyone that knows me knows how I adore my lawn. I'm one of these people that manicures the lawn, and I get so much joy and satisfaction. I know I'm a part of a Facebook group that's men in their lawns or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but everyone is showing off their edges and things like that. It's so weird, but it's so. It was great to find this page that said, maybe I'm not as big a weirdo as I thought I was, and I love my lawn that much. But saying that, equally as much as pleasure I get out of it over the summer and the spring periods, it is equally depressing for me during the colder periods because it just goes to crap. My lawn.
Yep. I have to say I fully understand how lawns feel in winter because that's how I feel as well.
Yeah.
And my favourite lawn Facebook group is Lawn Porn.
Lawn porn.
Yeah, have you heard of the lawn porn?
No, but I will be looking it up. That's for sure.
Oh my God, Marty, you have to get on that. It's hilarious.
Oh, I love it. All right, beautiful lawn porn done. Yeah.
People unashamedly go on and on and on about every leaf blade in their lawn.
Wow.
Mostly blokes.
It's not just photos of people mowing their lawn in the nude or anything, is it?
No.
Oh well. Oh, I'll check it out anyway.
Check it out, but make sure you put lawn before the porn because
careful what you type. Yeah. Oh, fair. I'll check that out for sure. But isn't it such a fascinating thing? I wonder what it is about lawns that gives people so much satisfaction.
Well, what I want to understand, Marty, is what it is about blokes. Because women don't have the same attachment to lawns as men do. And I've never understood why. I don't know if it's because, my brothers they're fanatical about their lawns and they come to my place and they, you've got weeds in there and it's not dead level. And I go, I just mow the weeds.
Yeah. Yeah, it does get so fanatical too. But it's I don't know. It's the smell. It's the feel. It is just everything about it. I don't know. I love the feel under my feet. I love the smell of the cut lawn and the fuel from the mower. That sort of stuff. It's just I
love all that too. I have to say, and I think. The people of my generation, all the blocks were quarter-acre blocks and everyone had a big lawn and your dad mowed the lawn every Sunday. That was his job.
Yeah.
And the kids raked up the lawn into piles and then jumped in it.
That would be itchy, I'm imagining. Nothing but itchy.
But it was worth it, Marty.
That's good. Sounds great. Childhood memories. There you go.
Yeah.
The thing is, when I was a child, my father used to force me to mow the lawn. I hated mowing the lawn because I was forced to do it, but now I just absolutely love it. Anyway.
Yeah, and lawns got a really bad rap during the drought, and people were saying they were water wasters. Yeah. But lawns are actually really important for carbon sequestering. They're really important in fire-prone areas. There's yeah. So if you've got lawn around your house and a bushfire comes through, I know it can go up to the tops of trees, but if it's running along the ground, it hits lawn and it stops.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. I read something. There's something I saw the other day. It said it was Lawns Nature's air conditioner or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can cool down the temperature around your house by 6 degrees minimum if you've got lawn around it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
Interesting
love
little
lawn.
fact. There you go. Wow.
Love.
Well, as I say, like I said, it's equally depressing because my lawn looks like shite at the moment. And I just, it's like, oh, righto. But now it's sort of coming up, still a bit wet, but it's sort of drying out a little bit. It's wet over here in the east where I
Yeah,
am. But
yeah,
and I know it's different all over the country, but where I am, it's we're getting ready to get ready for spring and summer. So, is there a routine? Is there a plan? Look, I just attack it as I go. Like, do I do the bindies first? Do I do the clover first? Or the winter grass? Does the winter grass just die off by itself, or what? Is there a process or a plan we
yeah,
should be looking at?
absolutely. So during the winter, what happens is your lawn, because most of our lawns are hot climate lawns. So during winter, they hate it and they stop growing and they sulk. And then the ground is wet, so you don't get really good drainage. So the water just sits there. Sometimes the root system of lawn can rot. And of course, the big thing in winter is weeds. So your lawn dies back, but the weeds love it. So your number one thing, the first thing you should do in spring is try and control those weeds. So you can hand pull, or you can use, there's myriad of different herbicides you can use. I'm an organic grower, so like I said, I just weed over the top of my weeds. Mow over the top of the weeds,
Yeah.
or hand pull. But there are now, you have to understand, there are selective herbicides for different weeds.
Mm.
Because if you just go and say, oh, I'm just going to round up the weeds, you're going to round up the lawn as well. So that's not the outcome you want.
Yeah.
So
No.
control your weeds. Know what your weeds are. Get on if you don't know what they are, just put a picture on one of the lawn websites. There'll be 5 million replies instantly telling you what the weed is and how to control it. So that's a big thing.
Brilliant. Yeah, like I guess the big ones over this way are probably the bindi and the clover. I think you can there's some that sort of do the two types of weeds and all that sort of thing. But
Yeah, that's right.
are there any that you don't really like? Like I say, it just looks like shite, but it always seems to come back. It's amazing. You think, oh, this is never going to come back. This is going to look terrible. I've done it this time. There's too much of it, but it always seems to come back. Are there certain, the winter grass and things? Do they just burn off naturally, or do we have to attack those too?
Well, the problem is with weeds, if you don't get them, control them before they seed, you're going to get them next year. Because one plant will have something like anything between 20 and 200 seeds in it.
Wow.
But the great thing is, Marty, during summer when the lawn's going gangbusters, it sort of drowns, covers the area. But those weed seeds will come back next winter. So you really do have to try and control the weeds, because now it's spring. We're going to start feeding our lawns, and won't the weeds love that?
Yeah, right.
So that's why it's important to get to control the weeds first. Then number 2 on the hit list is, because if you've had a wet winter, the ground gets really sodden. So if you're on heavy clay, you might need to add gypsum, or you'll need to aerate it.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways of going about that. Well, 3 ways. You can actually hire a corer, which just plugs holes in it, or you can get a garden fork and start punching holes in it, or you have a really big party and everyone that comes to the party has to wear stiletto heels.
What about those stupid shoes? Have you seen those big ones with the nails sticking out the back? You can walk around. You just Velcro them to the bottom of your feet.
I like that idea.
You just get 20 pair of those. Invite everyone around for your lawn party. There you go. Have a game of football on the back.
I reckon it's great. So aerate your lawn, and then after you've done that, then you start fertilising.
Wait a minute. Go a step back. What does the aerating actually do? Just dries it out a little bit.
So it helps the water drain away. So if you're on clay soil, I've just spent a month in Wagga, where it was about minus bloody 6 degrees, and all the lawns died off because they get frost. But the water just pooled. It just pooled in heavy rainfall. So you have to try and distribute that water and get it off, sort of. So one way of doing that is actually coring and plugging holes so that you get, more air going into the soil. Some people top dress, but don't top dress this early in spring. You can top dress later on. And when I say top dress, I mean you're going to put on fine compost, or if you're on heavy clay, you're going to put like river sand on top. So top dressing is so that the stolon, so the leaf root system has somewhere to go. But you need to. So you've done the weeds, you've done the aeration of the soil. Then the next step is you want to kickstart growth back by fertilizing. Now, if you have an established lawn, you do not need a big percentage of phosphorus. So phosphorus is used for root development. But the big problem with phosphorus is that if you live near waterways, it contaminates all the waterways. So use a lawn specific fertilizer with no more than 2% phosphorus. Yeah. Yeah. So what you want is you want nitrogen and potassium. So potassium, and you want high levels of potassium because that feeds the leaf blade. So the nitrogen makes the blade grow. The potassium thickens up the cell walls in the leaf so that it can resist pest and disease.
Wow. Who would have thunk it? There's so much to
Who
it.
would have thunk it? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, there you go.
So now, how much fertiliser are you going to use, Marty? Because most blokes go out there and they spread it like bloody chook food.
Well, I get a little bit. Yeah, well, that's we do get a little bit overzealous. It's like it's like the more I put on, the thicker and more lush it's going to be. Isn't that the way it works? That's the way I always thought about it. Not quite, eh?
Not quite. So you only want 1 cup, like a kitchen cup. Go and get the teacup.
Yeah.
One kitchen cup per square metre.
Wow. That's going to save me. You've just saved me about $150 this year so far. There you go. Wow. Really?
Yeah, because all the rest, the lawn can't uptake the nutrients, so it just washes off. So you are wasting. I mean, that's a good bottle of wine in that, Marty.
Yeah, good point. Less is more in the fertilizer stakes. There you go. All right.
Granular fertilize with a specific lawn fertilizer.
So going back to those weeds though, so that they seed, those seeds just sit dormant under the lawn all summer, and others come back. They will come back again in abundance.
They absolutely do. Now
There's
this
no
is
other way
where. Well, yeah, there is. So there's a very clever chemical that is a suppressant. It's a weed suppressant. And what you have to do is you do that at the beginning of winter, right? So once all the seeds dropped in when winter's finished, the following year you can spray a suppressant on. Now what that is, it's a film that sits on top of the soil and it prevents the seed from germinating.
Wow.
So it's high science, but it works. So it's a weed suppressant. You can get it in a granular, and you can get it in a granular and a liquid form. There's quite a few of them on the market. So do your research because you want to know what lawn you've got.
But that goes on at the beginning of winter, so just before it starts to sprout up and appear, sort of thing. It's like
that's right.
Getting a glad wrap over your lawn or something.
Yeah, a similar kind of a thing.
Yeah, wow.
Now, but I don't understand why it doesn't stop the lawn roots from growing. But I don't know. It's a selective, very clever thing. So if you really want your lawn to be weed free, then you would go for one of the weed suppressants that make that film over the top.
Okay, so there is a way to sort of, kill it off a little bit. That's great
Yeah,
because just
before.
like I said, it just seems to be getting worse and worse every year.
Yeah.
So
You need that, Marty. You need that.
okay, all right. Anything else I need?
So you need restraint when you fertilise, and don't think that your lawn is like a group of chickens in the backyard. So once you fertilise, Marty,
Yes.
1 month to 6 weeks, depending on the weather, after you've granular fertilised, you can then put liquid fertiliser on your lawn.
Right. So what's the difference?
Granular fertiliser is slow release, and it will slowly release over a period of 3 to 4 months.
All right.
Liquid fertiliser is taken up by the leaf blade within 4 hours.
Okay. So when you say granular, like there's those ones that are I won't say the name of it, but they actually will kill the weeds and feed the lawn. They're like a 2-in-1, so
completely bloody useless. You
so
may as well
no.
put rice bubbles on your lawn for all the good.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Marty,
Wow.
don't even bother, mate. Don't even bother.
Okay.
See?
Well, that's great to know. That's a big one for me. There you go.
Don't spread your unused cereal. It'll do the same thing, really.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Doesn't do
Unbelievable.
either.
All right, so don't try and kill two birds with one stone. Basically, let's do
No.
this. Do it properly. Weeds,
Yep.
hand pulling with or herbicides, and then we
Yep.
aerate it, and then we feed it with some nitrogen,
Granular.
potassium, whatever.
Granular fertilizer.
Granular fertilizer.
And then once you've got the leaf blade going through, and you can see, there's no gaps in your lawn, and she's fairly going gangbusters, and you can see the leaf blade growing every week, then you liquid fertilize because it will need more nitrogen, but a sort of a hit that goes into the leaf blade. There's no point in putting liquid fertilizer on anything unless it's actively growing.
Am I too far behind? Like, what is it now?
No.
So good to go now.
Yeah, Marty, all the seasons are changing. So, we've got fruit trees that are fruiting midwinter. The other thing I want to tell people is you have to get the right lawn for your area. Like in over here in WA, we just get stuff that would grow in hell, because when it's between 42 and 45 for 3 weeks, stuff just dies. But if you live in frost-prone areas or in tropical areas up in Queensland, each lawn variety will do better in certain zones. So talk to your lawn supplier first if you're going to lay new lawn, and just find out what's the best lawn for your district.
Brilliant. Well, once again, you've just been a wealth of knowledge. You really should do this for a living, So good at it. Good at it. Wow.
Marty,
Yeah, give it a go. Well, Sabrina, I cannot wait. I've got a couple more days before I can flick the page and put you on my wall, so I'm really looking forward to that. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you once again.
My pleasure, Marty. Love it.
All right. Lovely speaking to you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I can't wait to apply all those fantastic tips to my lawns. By golly, they need it.
Hello, I'm Sean McAuliffe here, and you're listening to The Shed Wireless with John Paul Young. But you already know that, don't you? I mean, obviously, you've already got this set up on Spotify. You don't need me to tell you this. Take it away, John.
Yeah, there's something for you at the Men's Shed.
In our third and final chat for Men's Shed Week this week, we'll chat to Ian Pike from the St Clair and District Men's Shed. Hi, Ian. How long have you been going to the St Clair Shed?
Oh, over 10 years.
Wow.
We started off as just a men's group at Autumn Leaf Parade, which is behind where the shopping centre is now. It's now called Community Junction, but it was called just Autumn Leaf Parade back then, and they advertised in the paper apparently to for people to come and join a men's group, and a whole bunch of guys did that in 2013, and I didn't come along till about 8 or 9 months later.
So who sent you down to the shed?
There was an old bloke who lived 2 doors up from me. His name was Frank, and he knew I'd had a redundancy package offered to me, so I took it, and I'd been home from about August, and he came round and saw me about October and said, "Would you like to come down to a men's shed?" And I said, "A men's shed? Oh, geez, I don't know. I don't think I'm the sort of person who likes to pour out all my feelings and, cry on people's shoulders and stuff." And he said, no, it's nothing like that. He said, all we do is we sit around, have a bit of a chat, and then we have a lunch, and then we go home again. I thought, oh, okay, I'll come down for a try.
Yeah.
So I did, and pretty much been there ever since.
So yeah, I mean, and you've learned some new skills there.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, used to work for OTC/Telstra, and mainly in like a satellite field. So we were mainly putting together metal bits and pieces and what have you. So woodwork was a little bit strange to me, really.
Yes,
but
there's not a lot of metal workers go on in the shed, is there?
Not so much. We've got a metalworking shed now.
Yeah.
It's only just been completed. We haven't really been using it much in anger at this point, but
Okay.
we have got a metalworking shed now. So hopefully I can get my hands on the lathe and things down there from time to time.
So what are you doing with the wood? Tell me.
Oh, well, I'm doing a fair bit, actually. I'm the secretary this year, so that's sort of curtailed my woodworking a little bit this year. But over the years, I think we started off by making what they call buddy benches. I'm not sure if you've heard of a buddy bench.
No.
They're mainly for primary schools, and we were asked to make a couple for Bennett Road Public School. And what they are for, if a kid is either getting a little bit bullied or got no one to play with and feeling a bit lonely, they've been told to sit on this buddy bench. And if they sit on the buddy bench, one of the older kids who in the school will come over and say, "Come and have a play with us, mate. We'll look after you." And so they become a buddy, yeah.
Oh, who came up with that?
It was a school initiative, I believe. And so, yeah.
I don't know how old you are, Ian, but I mean, just before my day, I think it was the opposite. You got a dunce's hat on and you sat in the corner on your own.
I've had that done to me a few times, yeah. I was a bit of a rebel, I think, at school. So
The buddy bench, what a wonderful idea.
Basically, all it is a 3-seater bench, multi-colours, and yeah. So it stands out, and kids were using it apparently. So it's still there. It's still being used. So, and other than that, then we sort of scaled it down to a 1-seater chair, and one of the other guys who's no longer with us, unfortunately, Gordon, and we made a couple of rockers for it and put it on and turned it into a rocking chair for a young man who loved to sit in his rocking chair and listen to the radio in one of those share house things at Penrith.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he'd had about 3 rocking chairs and he'd broken them all because he was a bit rough with them. So we decided we're going to make him something that he can't break. And we did. We made it out of, 3x2 type bits of wood and things, and it's still there. And he's still using it, I believe. So.
Well, a hard rocker.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks very much, Ian. Now, if our listeners out there know a bloke sitting at home, not doing much, what are you going to tell them to do?
Oh, definitely go down and join up your shed. We have a lot of fun here. We've got about 60-something members now. Every one of them's a good bloke. A lot of them say to me that because they've been sitting home doing nothing for a long time, they're getting a bit bored. And to be honest with you, we do a few Bunnings barbecues and things, and we get just as many women coming up and saying, can my husband join your men's shed? I'm sick of him being at home doing nothing all the time. Can I get him to come down to the shed? And you say, sure. And we give them the brochures, and they turn up, and they come down 2 or 3 times before they have to pay their money, and they become a member.
That's fabulous. And it
just keeps growing and growing, yeah.
Well done, Ian. Thank you very much for your time, mate.
No problem. Nice to talk to you.
Well, that's all we have time for in this episode, but we hope that you enjoyed our chat today. And if you know a bloke sitting at home doing nothing, you know what to do.
Send him down to the shed.
Send him down to the shed. Send him down to a shed.
Send him to the shed.
It don't matter if you work with wood or fabricating metal is the thing you understood. Whatever is your game, everyone's the same. Yeah, we can do it all at the men's shed. Short, fat, tall, skinny, hairy, bald. In the shed, it's welcome one and all. Share the skills you know, we're all having a go. There's a help